Alright, I thought I'd do a little bit of a video on some fiberglass repairs. A couple of small repairs on my kayak and one of my mate's kayaks. Split the seam down the side, so thought I might as well do a little bit of a video so people might be able to pick something up. I'm not an expert, but I've done a little bit over the time, so hopefully this helps you guys. Alright, here we go. The thing I did was just on my own kayak, I think I showed, I just chipped out all those little air bubbles and just basically just a simple flow coat over the top, reseal it off, and I can just keep an eye on those. I don't go to too much more effort than that. That part hits the sand quite a bit. And the other one was just my seat, something hit my seat, maybe the camera or something when it swung around in the surf last time. So I sent it back, there's no crack there, which was good. A little bit of resin and then some flow coat over the top. Then again, I'm not going to go to too much effort there to make that look much better, because my butt rubs on that all the time, so it'll smooth out over time. Alright, so I don't know if you can see here, I've already sanded it back a little bit. It has basically come apart, two sections along that join. So this is joining tape. I don't know if you can see here, so this is nice and thick. And the section underneath the gel coat is paper thin and not a lot of resin in there. So this runs all the way down the back. So I don't think that was going to break eventually anyway by the looks of it. The other thing that we found was, I don't know if you can see, that's fibres are not actually resin, they're all dry. So see if I can get a better shot. Yep, and then you can see it's crack stemming that way, and if you keep following down you can see there's actually all the way down to another one here. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to sand that back, sand that crack back, and we'll sand back probably a big 75mm joining tape. So we'll run a strip along there, find some fresh glass like that, and then we'll run a 25 strip over the top and do a couple of repairs up the top there, sand that all back and run some glass through that as well, just to strengthen it. Rightio, so what we've got here is, probably the most expensive bit is basically joining glue. So we use that to join the two halves together before we glass it. Some vinyl ester resin. They recommend vinyl ester for marine type areas. Acetone, cleaning up and obviously prepping the surface, so you want to make sure that clean glass is all prepped up. Some 25mm joining, we call it join basically, it's just thin fiberglass, and there's a 75mm. There's some hardener, which sets your resin off. That's flow coat, so basically it's a nice white coat over the top, which is basically a coloured resin. You harden at hardener, mixing gear, and some measuring cups, and just a good orbital sander, little orbital sander, nothing too special, but yeah, it just makes the obviously prep work a little bit easier. And a bunch of cheap paint brushes. They're only one use, so they won't last too long. Plumber's tape, not plumber's tape, sorry, just masking tape, and a roller which you roll basically all the air bubbles out of the fiberglass. So I just got a multi-pack of sanding discs. So basically, the smaller the number, the coarser the grit of the sandpaper. So we'll start off with a medium one, so we don't take too much back of one hit, and then we'll end up doing with the higher number, which I think in this packet is what is it? 240. So basically that's your finishing, so that's fine. So that'll get you a nice smoother sort of finish. I think that's about it. Oh yeah, so we also got gloves, so you don't get resin on you, and there's a couple of masks around here somewhere, and some good old masks. Alright, so it's, you can see pretty good there. It's actually not too bad along here, so we'll go back to 25mm tape along there. Just clean a bit of that out. Long crack that's running along here and up to this one here. These ones on top are just superficial by the looks of them, which is good. So it's just the gel coat that cracked, so that'll be easy. Alright, so it looks like most of the cracking is just gel coat. I've sanded this back. I don't know if you can really see it. Focusing. So you can kind of see move it, that split. So we'll just run a very fine strip of glass over it. Next bit is we'll get this glued in. All that glued together. And then we'll run a 50mm over this bit here, sorry 75mm, and then we'll drop it down to 25mm. Put a patch over here, and probably just run a little bit of, one little fine bit of glass there, down the end on that soft spot, and then just flow coat. The resin was, gel coat was cracked. And small one up here, sanded that out a bit. It turns into anything worse. That's the glue, so you use one part each, mix it well. Mix it up, make sure it's mixed all the way through. Rightio. Okay, so far we've prepped it, and now basically got the glue down, which is basically a joining glue. Probably the best method I could find to pin the two together. Try and keep it relatively level. I'll swing this camera around in a sec. Okay, so this will give you an idea, bit of a shot. Basically glue the two sections together. And I think we've got not too bad. It's sitting a little high in some places, but by the time we finish it, glass it, we should be alright. So I'll probably let that set, 90 minutes curing time. Yeah, so this is, yeah, it's sort of 1 part gel A to gel B, weight or volume, so I mix it based on what I could tell in the bottom of the cup. Mix it, it mixes really well. And I think it was this one. Yeah, so 45 minutes before she starts setting, and then 90 minutes. Here's the time it takes to hold a bond. So I'll probably just wait. You can glass over the top while it's curing, but yeah, I've got the time, so I may as well let that set and just try to clean off as much as I could. I don't have too much to deal with afterwards. Yeah, it's just hard trying to get it underneath obviously and keep it there and pin it all down, so it's sitting a little high there. But that's alright, we'll glass that up. Shouldn't come up too bad. It's not going to look like a new one, but it'll be strong. So 60 drops, that's about 15 ml per 100 millilitres of resin. And make sure you mix it. Make sure you get all the wall. Make sure there's nothing that's not mixed in. So just mix up small bits, or else you end up with a bit of waste. Alright. Disposable brushes. Okay, so we've just laid it over and you just dab it and see how it starts going clear. And we want to roll any air bubbles out, so we'll use a roller for that. Just using the roller, and just roll any air bubbles out. Okay, so just to run through what I've done, so I just filled that with a little bit of resin. We'll go over that with flowcoat later. So we've got acetone, cleaned up all the areas. This glue's taking quite a while to go off, so I wasn't going to work with it while it was going off, but there's no problems with doing it, so I figured I would start glassing, but just around these sections, because I'll do probably a few runs of that tape. Yeah, so just cut some of that, I think I got 75 mil, just cut it down. You'll see there's little bits, just straggly bits, I'll just sand off at the end. But the idea is that you want to put down some resin first and lay your cloth dab the cloth in so you get all the air out of it, and then the roller at the end sort of just rolls any little air bubbles out. So I'm not too worried like about these little bits and straggly bits, because that'll just sand out once we go flush. Yeah, so I figured that'll set, that'll help hold it clamped while it sets. Just run a couple of bits over the that crack there, and I end up just using the tape rather than cloth. Same product, just thicker. Take a little bit of sanding afterwards with that sanding disc. This one wasn't too bad, so I just probably only need one run, but we'll see how the thickness comes out at the end. And yeah, we're lucky that we didn't have any cracks along there, so it'll just be a flow coat at the end where the gel cloak was cracked. I'll get that one afterwards once this all sets. So yeah, so just this catalyst is highly flammable, so obviously you don't want to leave this stuff flying around with kids around. Acetone, again, it's pretty wicked stuff, pretty flammable. Yeah, so I'll let that set, and that'll just sort of confirm that my resin's good and the mix was good. 60 drops to 100 ml of resin. It's a good mix. So the idea is hot weather you want it to go off slower, and cool weather goes off quicker. So less hardener will make it go off slower. So depending on where you are, we're in Queensland, so sort of stick with the average. We're not in Darwin or anything like that. So yeah, we'll see how we end up. Alright, so I think we're pretty close to the end of this repair job, and this is where we're at the moment. Just doing one last flow coat. A bit bright to see all that. So yeah, so I'll just, this is, so you can see that, it's probably backwards, is it? Anyway, it's polyester flow coat. So basically you just mix that the same as your resin. I'll swing the camera around. Yeah, so there's a couple of different finishes, like you can just leave it like that. Personally I prefer to sand it, get it flat, and then go for a polish afterwards. We won't end up with a nice shiny glossy finish, smooth like manufactured, but we should get pretty nice. I just taped down each side of the seam to give it a line. Yeah, so I had to do another little section here, it was a bit soft. Yeah, underneath, got pretty good. It's back in one piece, it's pretty solid. Yeah, so just same as normal, so it's got some instructions on here somewhere. There you go, comes out better that way. Polyester flow coat, so I just got white, lucky the Kayak's white. Yeah, so what I would do with your, you see you got temperatures there, so you got to try and ambient temperature. It's actually the temperature of your resin or your flow coat that you want to use. So I just basically ask the local fiberglass supplier where I get this from, what they're using at the time, and that's pretty good idea. But most of the time I'm using that 15 ml per litre. Yeah, so basically that just is a resin mix that's got a white tip to it. You get different colours. Yeah, white's nice and easy obviously. Alright, so yeah, so sanding wise, just finer fibre is a 240 grit. So obviously that's not the finest, so you can go wet and dry and then a polish, completely up to you how good you want the finish. Yeah, orbitals, so obviously orbitals are mechanical, so if you go rough, just be very careful you don't take too much off at once, or else you end up with another hole that you don't want to fix. Yeah, so I think we're looking pretty good. Okay, so just a quick video. It's a bit rough around the edges. I'm not much of a video production person, so I hope that flowed well enough to be able to help you out. So you'll notice in there's probably 1,000 different ways that I could have done that better. You know, you could trim the glass matting up a little bit more to make it a little less work later on. I had an orbital sander, so that sort of makes it a lot easier to clean up afterwards and, you know, get the extra resin off and things like that. So I'm sure that plenty of people have comments about how to do it better. This is purely a video just to try and help those people out that are on a tight budget and can't afford to take it somewhere and get a repair. A shout out to Ace Fiberglass on the sunny coast at Warana. They're always a really good point of advice. Happy to help, happy to sell to the public all the bits you need. They'll answer every question you have. Yeah, leave some feedback in the comment section below. Happy to help as much as I can. All up, I guess that repair took me a week. I've got a family with a few kids and went camping in between and fishing and the other bits and pieces, so a week. So I was sort of do bits and wait for it to set, come back, do a bit of sanding, a lot of sanding afterwards. That final picture in the video is basically how I finished it and handed it over to my mate. My mate went away and he was planning on doing some wet and dry and then running some polish over it at the end with like electric buffer or polishing machine, something similar to what you do with your car. You polish them basically with a car polish medium, same as what you'd use on your vehicle, so you don't need to go out and buy anything special. Usually most people have got something at home that will do that job, but yeah, it'll give it that shine at the end and obviously give us that nice slick glass that we like to be able to move through the water nice and smoothly. Hope you enjoyed it. Yep, like I said, leave comments in below or I'll try to get back to you and I'll see you soon. Catch ya.